Somebody sent me this about Velma in the Discord. Okay, and it says Velma is textbook character assassination. A lot of people haven't been liking Velma. I figured that was going to happen ever since they did the cast is a little bit weird. Scooby Doo doesn't exist. Shaggy is black. Velma is Indian. I think Daphne's Asian. Fred is white. Thank God. I'm just kidding. Fred is normal. No. And like those things by themselves don't really matter, but it's like, I don't know, it kind of feels, you know how things are now. Everything feels like so like overloaded. Anyway, I decided to just watch the show before I gave my perspective. I watched both episodes. It wasn't really that bad. I don't know, people are kind of going crazy. It was kind of annoying though. Like almost immediately it goes on talking about how typical origin stories are from white men or whatever. And we're going to tell it from a woman's perspective, woman's empowerment. And I think that that's great. I just don't need you to tell me about it because it's lazy. You don't need to tell me explicitly that you're going to try to fight the gender norms because then it just comes off as a performance piece. Just do it and don't tell us about it. Oh yeah, they call him Norville. Well, Norville is Shaggy's actual name. Did you know that? I looked it up. I was like, why are they calling him Norville? And his name is actually Norville. They did it in like a prequel episode, like 19 whatever. They actually established that his name was Norville Redenbacher or something. I don't remember the last name. So that's consistent. The show can be kind of annoying. It's like super overloaded. There's not a whole. There's like 2 white guys in the show, which is fine. But it's like like they put it in as many. It feels like it's intentional to break the status quo, which is fine. I mean, I come to expect that. It also, what was it? They constantly talk shit about white guys. It's like constantly white. Like, isn't it? It's boring. Like I get throwing some jokes for some white people, but it gets very boring. Outside of that, some of the jokes are kind of funny. It's really intense and in your face. The overall story narrative isn't that bad though. Like if you look past all the obnoxiousness, it's not a bad show. The first episode's a little funky, but it slowly gets better. Spoiler alert: the overarching theme of the season. There's a couple of things. I will give it credit. Velma here, right? Her storyline's pretty decent. Her mother. It's pretty cool. Like I said, spoiler alert. But basically, the story goes that her mother disappeared. What happened is that her mother used to write murder mysteries or mysteries in some capacity, which inspired her as a kid to like to solve not crimes, just puzzles and whatnot, mysteries in the house. And those mysteries included finding out where her mother's alcohol was and drinking it, which wasn't good. But anyway, the mother gave her more mystery so that she would leave her alone. This way she wouldn't like go around and do crazy stuff. And then one day she found her Christmas gifts and that upset her. So the mom went out and get her another Christmas gift. And, then they found the car. The mother drove on the side of the road with a gift there. And the mom was gone. Ooh, spooky. Where'd you go? And that basically gives her PTSD, where anytime she thinks about solving a mystery, she goes into like a hallucinatory state where she like sees like ghosts and like scary, spooky things. And then it's, there's then the dad thinks that the mom just kind of like disappeared and ran away and hated them. And it's interesting. So now you're kind of exploring like, where did her mom go? And then every episode there's another murder of like a popular girl. At least that's the first 2 episodes. So it's kind of interesting. It's okay. It's kind of funny. It's not the greatest, but like I didn't come in with particularly high expectations of this show anyway. So it's actually not that bad. It's just way too socially loaded. Like it's okay to like talk about social stuff, but like I think like in the second episode, there's like 7 actual times. I'm not even exaggerating. I believe where they made the joke about like explicitly said white men. It's weird. It's like it's just kind of annoying. But some of the jokes are okay. It's just really obnoxious and in your face. That's the biggest problem. It's like super aggressive and obnoxious. Like you have to adjust to how like dumb it is. But it was okay. I would watch it weekly. I wouldn't binge it though. The first episode was okay. I was curious about the second episode. It was fine. It's like a 6 out of 10. So let's watch what other people have to say about it.
What in the world did I just watch? The character assassination in the show should be held equal with real assassinations. And to the cynical people out there, no, it isn't because they race swapped Velma, Daphne, and Shaggy.
It's interesting because they claim that they didn't race swap. They claim that they did colorblind casting, just so you know. And there's a difference. Race swapping is intentional. Colorblind casting is when you just cast a person that you think fits the role, regardless of their race. I somewhat disagree with that. I think Velma was colorblind casted because it was about that Mindy girl, whatever that girl is from the Mindy show. Mindy, Scooby Doo. I don't. You know who I'm talking about? It's about this girl. So I get that. Outside of that, though, it's pretty intentional. You know what I mean? I mean, everything else it feels pretty intentional because there's like almost every character is like not a straight white guy, and that's okay that there aren't a bunch of straight white guys, but it's like there's two, and they're both a laughing stock. Like even the fucking Daphne, the Asian girl, was adopted by two lesbian detective parents, and some of the jokes hit, but it's like it's so intentional. It's not colorblind casted. It's very intentional to overload it with like non-norms. So it comes off as non-authentic, but whatever.
Because they took likable characters
and they removed the only black character, which was Scooby-Doo, just to make Shaggy black. Okay, that's racist. That's racist. I will say though, there is kind of it's a little funny to me. Maybe because I'm a boomer, but they made Shaggy like hate weed. Like the whole joke is that he's very anti like marijuana, because like obviously later on he becomes very addicted to it.
Away everything that makes them likable. Why did they have to make this an adult comedy? The tone of this show
is fine. There was also kind of like an interesting overarching theme where like not overarching, but like Daphne and Fred, like they were in a couple, but the girl's the horny one and he's like not super horny, and it's actually kind of refreshing to like see a more realistic portrayal of sometimes like there are girls who are like very into sex and she wants to fuck him but he won't fuck her. So that was somewhat refreshing, I will say.
Have to make this an adult comedy. The tone of this show is almost as crude as Big Mouth, which feels so out of place considering that these are Scooby-Doo characters.
Okay.
True, yeah. The first episode, this is what it is. It's intentionally supposed to be sexually provocative. It even tells you that the first episode, like the pilot episode of like every show is very overloadedly sexy or whatever so that it'll pull people in.
Team shower discussion topic of the day. Have you ever noticed how pilot episodes of TV shows always have more gratuitous sex and nudity than the rest of the series?
This is supposed to be high school. I'm seeing high schoolers bare asses in shower.
Whoa! You're acting like you've never seen a hentai before. Okay, relax, buddy. All right. But it is actually a good point. I didn't think of it like that.
Like, look, if you're gonna do a more mature take on Scooby-Doo, don't make it about teens in high school.
Hey, don't watch Euphoria. That's all I have to say. If that offended you, don't watch Euphoria.
Before we dive in, I'm just gonna give you a quick summary of the plot. A dead body fell out of Velma's locker, and she becomes a murder suspect. This forces Velma to try to.
Those are the lesbian mom and dad of Daphne, by the way.
Solve the mystery.
Excuse me, lesbian mom and mom. Sorry, I got confused. One of them is Jane Lynch and Wanda Sykes. They're funny. They are funny. They got a lot of funny characters. I mean, they have a lot of funny actresses and stuff in it. Like the show has funny people. The cast list is loaded. These two are funny. I think that this girl's funny. Fred's played by the guy from It's Always Sunny. Dave. Wow, I can't remember his name. That's not good. It has a good cast. I'm gonna go look it up now. So like they certainly bring. Maybe that's what I found funny because they bring it, girl. They make it funny. They bring it. They are all entertaining. I also don't think the writing was that bad. Yeah, Glenn Howlerton. He's funny. I like him. He's funny, and there are some funny, racism moments. Not like racism, but like there's funny, like edgy humor. Is what I meant to say. There's funny, edgy humor. I don't really know who some of these other people are though. Oh yeah, Russell Peters is pretty good. It's pretty good stuff.
Mystery, but she struggles because the thought of solving a mystery triggers hallucinations. This is because her mom went missing 2 years ago. So the thought of any mystery triggers hallucinations for her.
Which, by the way, I think it's like an overall good plot point, even if it maybe could be explored a little bit better.
Plot itself is fine.
Yeah, I found some of the moments funny. I watched both episodes. Like I found some of them funny. Maybe it's just like a little silly to me. I also didn't come in with very high expectations. I didn't come in going like it's going to be as good as Scooby-Doo. I didn't really like the old Scooby-Doo that much. Like I didn't hate it, but it wasn't really for me. So I didn't come in here with massively high expectations. I came in here with the expectation that it was going to be like an annoying SJW like comedy piece, and that's exactly what I got. I got what I was expected.
I guess Scooby-Doo has never had a deep, complex story. The main pull to Scooby-Doo is just hanging out with the characters while they try to solve a mystery. But the problem in this show is that hanging out with the characters is miserable. Everyone hates each other in this show.
Yeah, it's true.
This is literally the first thing Velma does in the show.
Yeah, it was just a weird moment. I don't know why they did that.
A bitch.
I believe there's supposed to be 9 other episodes of this show that come out. I can't even imagine what those will withhold. Everything you see in this video.
Well, so far I watched 2 episodes. Again, spoiler alert for anybody who really is going to love this show. Daphne and Velma start making out. They used to be best friends, but they ended up splitting up once Daphne decided to hang out with the cool kids, and Velma just, I guess, according to the show, ugly or something. And then they end up kissing, and they have a lesbian moment, which is kind of funny. It was okay. It was a little, again, like over, like everybody's a fucking lesbian. I feel bad for Norbert or whatever, Shaggy, because he wanted to be with Velma. And it was kind of funny to me. The girl was going through hallucinations, Velma, and then the Norbert or whatever the fuck his name was supposed to be was on the phone with her. And she's like, I'm going into hallucination. He's like, oh. She's like, nobody cares about me. I might as well just let myself die because it also causes heart attacks. And he's like, no, I love you, basically. And she started laughing because she thought he was joking. He got so friend-zoned, it was funny.
Video is based off of the pilot episode. Yes, the pilot episode is that atrocious to where I can make a full video out of it. My God, where do I even
thought it was
start?
Okay.
Velma's in trouble. Let's go help her.
Velma should not act like this. The appeal to Velma is that she's kind, smart, witty.
Well, okay, so the first thing I will say is that if you're going to compare them to the old characters, you're going to hate it because none of the old characters are very good. I mean, they don't honor any of the old characters in any capacity. This is like a complete reimagining of Scoobert Doobert. Okay. It's not, so if you come in thinking that like Velma is going to be like not a complete fucking bitch, then you don't want, like, yeah, you're gonna be disappointed.
And clumsy. But the Velma in this show has this irritating attitude the whole time.
Though I left you some other VMs. Voicemail.
I know what VMs are. Get to the point.
That was a very cringe moment in the show. He just kept saying VMs as voicemails.
I grew up on the original Scooby-Doo series. Hell,
No, you didn't. You didn't grow up on it, dude. Look at this. This says 1969. What are you, a fucking immortal, dude? I'm just fucking around. But yeah, don't compare it to the old one because it's not going to be like anything like it.
original Scooby-Doo series. Hell, I still watch it to this day because of how nostalgic it is for me. I also watched What's New Scooby-Doo growing up. Banger intro, by the way. And in those shows, everyone
Well, yeah, no, What's New Scooby-Doo like tried to honor the old Scooby-Doo.
in the gang kind of
Yes, Velma is literally like a Euphoria with a ton of like forced humor in it.
has a dumb side to them, but Velma is what holds the gang together.
That's probably the biggest issue, is that it's so aggressively telling you that it's an adult show. That's where the issue comes in. It so aggressively tells you, I'm an adult show, I'm not like Scooby-Doo. It's nothing subtle about it. It's very in your face and obnoxious. That's the problem. That's really the biggest problem with it.
The brains of the group. It's a shame the way they write her in the show. It's literally the opposite of who Velma is. There's a flashback scene where she's a kid and gives her mom alcohol to help her work.
Yeah, but later you find out that. So this was actually pretty funny because this was the montage I was talking about before where the mother created mysteries for her so she would like leave her alone while she could write. And there's like 3 scenes that shows like, you know, the whatever that displays this. This is one of them. But later on you find that like she didn't actually do this. What ended up happening is Velma just started drinking the alcohol, which like distressed the mother. And it lends to this potential narrative that the mom ran away because she hated her husband and the kid. It was kind of like there are good moments of the show. There are that are funny and clever, but it's a mess. And you have like that's the thing. I came in with no expectations.
What the hell is going on? I'm not opposed to the idea of character tweaks in a prequel about the mystery gang. I think it's a pretty solid concept of having the gang form in high school to solve the murders that have been happening, and also giving the show a mature rating allows the creators to have no limits on what they can do. They can literally make the killer terrifying. With the mature rating, we also could get really cool animated slasher sequences in a Scooby-Doo show, but instead, you know what the show gives us? High school shower scenes, a little bit of gore, and obnoxious cussing. I never
And lesbians, a lot of lesbians.
complain about cussing in shows or movies. I myself cuss sometimes, but when there's 40 uses of bitch in an episode and half of them are said by Velma, it feels so forced.
Yeah, that's another thing is that like I think that the girl who wrote the I think that Mindy girl might have written it or something. But either way, you know what it kind of reads as? It kind of reads as adults thinking that they're kids. Like how I come on and I use poggers and I go poggers and I'll hit the whoa, right? And I'll dab on them, you know. And I riz it up sometimes. I'll hit the Riz. That's the show. Everything that like every revolting feeling that you just felt as I just tried to act like a child. That's what the show is. But Mindy's 43. I don't even know that. She's 10 years older than me. She's not hip, but she thinks that she kind of is. And that's where it's like, that's probably why I think it's funnier because I'm a boomer. So like when they use like these cringe, like, oh, hit the nay, like I find it funny when adults try to imitate the trends of younger people. And so it's basically an older woman trying to write what she thinks Scooby-Doo Euphoria would be. You know? So
a funny bit they could have done in the show is have everyone in the school cuss but Velma, and Velma will have this disdain for cussing because she thinks it's not an intellectual way of speaking. Then with this, you can utilize this as a...
This scene itself was very funny, actually. You should... This scene got me. It made me laugh a little bit. All right, Velma went to school dressed up in sexily, and this whole school was like, "Oh my God, she's not a nerd anymore. We like her. She couldn't have caused the crime." And then one of the girls is like, "No, she did cause the crime. She's just trying to deflect it by looking attractive." Throws, the old paper cutters that you go, whoosh, throws the paper cutter at her, and she dodges it. But then Fred like grabs it and like boomerangs it, and accidentally
for cussing because she thinks it's not an intellectual way of speaking. Then with this, you can
it was just kind of funny to me. I don't know. It's stupid. It's dumb.
Utilize this as a setup for a big moment that'll happen later in the show. So a plot twist or maybe the reveal of who the murderer is. And then Velma can say something like, "Zoinkers, what the fuck?" I don't know.
That was also another thing that got... Dude, there's so many dumb dad puns. That when they were... There's like a scene where they're selling drugs, and the drugs are named like Jinkies, Zoinkies, and Mystery Machine, and I don't know why that made me laugh. It was so dumb. The drugs were named after the words they used to say. I chuckled. I chuckled at that. I'm a grown man, but it gave me the giggles. I like stupid puns.
Man, do something clever with the mature rating. You think they'd at least nail the comedy. There are hashtag jokes in this show.
I'm not just a waitress, I'm also
a basic bitch who doesn't even know how to use hashtags?
No, I'm also hashtag the owner of Spooners.
Well, I think the joke is that she's not using hashtags correctly, which I didn't get because it seemed like she was using them the right way, right?
If you're going to have the rights to the Scooby-Doo IP with a mature rating, you have to make it funny.
You think I want Fred? I mean, sure, if someone was like, want to see a naked picture of Fred? I'd be like, hubba, hubba.
So I can be the man my father expects
I thought that was kind of funny.
me to be.
Damn, Dilf City.
Just make good jokes, please. You have...
The jokes weren't that bad. I'm also like 15 years older than this guy probably, which is not an insult to him, but maybe it just resonates with me a little more and a little less with the younger crowd. I'm an older guy. I was gonna try to look up his age. He looks a little young. That might be what it says. He's 31, but also he says he's a basketball player, so I don't think that it's the same guy.
Have one of the most infamous IPs in media. Just make something of substance. But no.
Wait, what?
Jokes, please.
So I can be the man my father expects me to be.
Damn, Dilf City.
Just make good jokes, please. You have one of the most infamous IPs in...
Infamous usually means like bad, but what's interesting, and this is one of the things that did bother me a little bit. Hey, baby, how you doing? Is this is like the only two white guys in the show, for the most part, like of characters that speak, right? And you got Fred, and you got the dad, and it says like down here, pop, like a hashtag Papa, but also real men. The whole joke for him is that like he's a real man, that overbearingly shames his son for not being a real man, and it comes off a little annoying when you have like no competent, like none of the men in the show are particularly competent men. And you know what I mean? And it comes, although I guess neither are the women, but there are some medias that will make in order to empower the women, instead of surrounding the women with strong men that she overcomes, they just make all the men incompetent so that she looks competent by association as like a way to try to empower women. But it ends up just like coming off as like really stupid. Got a little bit of that energy here, but whatever.
Damn, Dilf City.
Just make good. Oh, we have to have cheap. One of the
Dilf
most
City.
infamous IPs in media. Just make something of substance. But no, we have to have cheap crew jokes.
Normally
True.
in pop culture, when a slutty girl is murdered, we're all a little like, well, maybe she deserved it.
True.
She was the rare slut that did not deserve to be murdered.
Oh, and you have this gem.
Because she figured out the secret to your diner's popularity. But there isn't any secret to it. Just good food, great tunes, and I let teens have sex in the bathroom.
Why are
Yeah, that was funny.
we talking about teen sex?
So the reason that they talked about this, because I watched the show, is that like one of the weird things they came up with is like, oh, in traditional movies, the really popular hangout spot is owned by like a black guy or like a fucking Italian person that drops like wisdom, but there's nothing cool about this diner. And so then one of the things, the reason that they're suspicious of like the diner as like a murder spot or something is because it's a really lame spot. But then later you find out that they were letting kids have sex in there. That's why all the kids were hanging around there, not for traditional. And it's like a little bit of a joke on the like, you know, the olden, you know, why, you know, like the wisdom characters from like, you watch like older movies and stuff. They have like that, you know, that hangout spot, I guess, where you got like the older guy that has like a lot of knowledge and whatnot. There was nothing fulfilling. So it was like, oh, we let kids have sex in the bathroom. That's why they hang around. Like, oh, okay. That's pretty much all it was.
In a show about high schoolers that also happens to be, I don't know, the literal Scooby-Doo gang.
Well, listen, I know kids are disgustingly horny. That's probably why they added so much horny humor into it.
It's so sad because even when the jokes aren't edgy, it's still awful.
Yes, it's true. Sophie photographs babies dressed up as vegetables.
Bro. I kind of got a chuckle out of it. I'm sorry.
What do you know? A ham sandwich.
Shaggy in this show is called Norville. I assume later in the series that he'll get the name Shaggy, but
So, really quick. I want to try to find it because his name is Norville. His name is Norville Rogers in the original Scooby-Doo, but you don't find that until later on in the show. I'll have to find the specifics, but this is actually something that apparently was in the olden days where they called him Norville Rogers or whatever. It was in like a prequel episode. His full name has always been Norville though, even in Scooby-Doo. So I believe I'll look into it a little more, but we'll keep going with that.
the question is, can I make it that far? My main problem with Shaggy here is the same problem with Velma. They don't share any characteristics of their former selves. Now that I'm writing this, why the hell is this even a Velma show? No one even resembles their personalities from Scooby-Doo. By the way, Scooby isn't even in the fucking show. You know what? I'm actually glad. I'm glad Scooby isn't in the show. Who knows what awful changes they would have made to him. I shit you not, now that I think about it, there would definitely be a Scooby sex scene. Considering that this happens within the first 20 seconds of the show.
Ugh, this school sucks.
I got a little chuckle out of that. I'm sorry.
So yeah, Shaggy or Norville in this feels nothing like Shaggy. And don't you dare use the argument that it's because his name isn't Shaggy yet. Velma's name is...
I actually thought that what I thought that they were doing was this wasn't the real Shaggy because they named him Norville. And then like the joke was it's just like a Shaggy stand-in character. But no, like Norville's actually his name. And the whole joke is that he's supposed to be this super clean-cut, energetic individual, the literal opposite of of Shaggy. And he hates marijuana. He hates the people who use it. And he has like this little web show where he eats snacks and only the stoners watch it. It's kind of a little bit funny to me. And then I'm assuming at some point he's going to get super addicted to drugs and spiral, which will also be funny to me. Yeah.
Is Velma, and she acts out of character. He doesn't even have a goofy voice or the goofy posture. He's just a normal teen that has a crush on Velma. We don't want Shaggy unless he has goofy posture and goofy voice. I don't mind when a movie or show has social commentary. I think BoJack Horseman did a really good job of delivering various messages.
Yeah, so his first name, Norville, first appeared in the late 1980s animated series A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, which depicted the mystery game as young children. Shaggy's real name was chosen by producer Tom Whatever and was based on Oliver Norville Hardy, one of the iconic comedy duos Laurel and Hardy. So like that's been in there since late 1980s, so like 1980 whatever.
feeling super on the nose, they would deliver it in a fun, creative way. For example, Mr. Peanut Butter ran for governor and supported fracking. He got backlash for it, so he started fracking in his own lawn to prove to people that it's not that bad. Then the floor collapses and a bunch of people are trapped for a whole episode.
But I mean, like, not for nothing. You can't compare anything to BoJack Horseman, because BoJack Horseman, in my opinion, is probably one of the funniest shows ever. I actually love that show a lot. It's hard to compare, like, the absolute best show, I don't know, arguably one of the best comedies ever, to fucking, Euphoria Scooby-Doo. I just, it was always going to be a mediocre piece.
This is how you do social commentary in a show. It stays consistent with the show's tone, and it doesn't take us out of the show because this is something Mr. Peanut Butter would actually do. It's in character. Velma, on the other hand, is just painfully on the nose.
If I were a rich white dude, I'd kill everybody just to
See? Like, rich white dude. It's a very lot of that.
get away with it.
I'm tired of these old-ass people in Hollywood being like, oh, these young adults are liberal these days, and we should throw in progressive lines so we can get
That's
culture
true.
points. We aren't
I do agree with that.
stupid. Stop insulting our intelligence, please. It feels so forced. If you're gonna have social commentary in your show, relate it to a theme in the show so it seems relevant. When you just throw out random key phrases, it feels
Well, so to that point,
relate it to a theme in the show.
So to that point, there is a theme in the show. Like, Fred is a rich white guy, so like she's referencing him. It fits the theme. It's just like overbearing in your face, and it's constantly a joke in the show. They make the joke like 10 times in 2 episodes, so it just gets annoying.
So it seems relevant. When you just throw out random key phrases, it feels very pandering. Every time they throw out a phrase like this, do they think we're fucking standing ovating and fucking clapping it up? Because that's not how it is.
I'm standing ovulating,
Before I went into watching this, I had a feeling it would be bad. I saw a headline on some site that said the show missed the mark or something like that, but I still think there would have been some things to like in the show. When I saw the trailer, I thought the animation looked kind of cool, at least the lighting and colors. But
I don't know. I feel like maybe as the show goes on in this season, it'll get a little bit better. Because those first couple episodes in any show can be a little bit rough, The first episode of Game of Thrones was very slow, and I didn't particularly care for it until I watched it the second time and third and fourth time through, because it got incredible, because like it sets the tone really well. It's pretty good. Now, this is never... Well, maybe this would be Game of Thrones level, because the last season of Game of Thrones was abysmal garbage. But... I'm giving it a chance.
the actual show mostly just looks like this. Usually when I dislike a movie or a show, I usually do give it credit for the things it does do right. I watched the episode last night, and before bed, I was trying to think of what I liked about it, and I said, I'll sleep on it. Maybe something will come. And here I am the next day. I can't name a single thing I like.
I think that the overall story is pretty solid. The whole, I thought it was very engaging, the Velma storyline of, like, her mother. I thought that was pretty good.
Like about this show. It sucks because Velma could have been something fun. A prequel about the gang forming in high school because there's a serial killer on the loose seems like a good concept. If you guys watched the pilot episode, can you tell me something you liked about it? Is there anything?
Why does Fred have the camera?
They already ordered a second season? Yeah, okay, good. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to keep watching it. Okay? It wasn't that bad. I think the problem is a lot of you guys came in expecting it to be on the same level as the old Scooby-Doo. And it's never going to be that, because it doesn't want to be that. And I don't think that the writers have the ability to make it that. Okay? I don't know. But it decided to use the Scooby-Doo IP and go bonkers with it. That's really what happened. And for better or for worse. It's not really a prequel. It's a complete reimagining of Scooby-Doo in an alternate universe. That's pretty much all it is. So I came in with pretty low expectations, and they were met. My low expectations were met.
Because, Velma, Brenda also photographed this.
I don't think I've ever...
The joke there is... Fred is supposed to be this real man character, but he still hasn't gone through puberty yet. And he doesn't want anybody to know that he has no hair on his legs, because it'll destroy his image of being a real man that his father set for him. So that's the joke there, just so you know.
Rated a show lower than this. Velma's pilot gets a 2 out of 10. I just think this tone would work better if it wasn't in high school, and also if it didn't have the Scooby-Doo characters attached to it. Also, it's not even just the tone, it's the way that they write the Scooby-Doo characters. Maybe I'll finish the rest of the show, I don't know. But as far as what I've seen, it's not looking good. It's not. The only positives I can really give this show is some sequences are pretty well animated, specifically the ones that have to do with hallucinations. They don't look that bad. And also there was like 2 bits in this episode that didn't rub me the wrong way, and wasn't wasn't cringe. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching the video. I'm going to start doing videos like this on things that I really dislike or things I really do like. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Feel free to subscribe. It helps me out. And this year, I'm actually attempting to go full balls deep into this channel. So yeah, if you made it to the end, I really appreciate it. Let me know what you think of the show.
Oh, does this guy have another channel? I wouldn't be surprised. His video is very well done. Oh yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. That makes sense to me. Yeah, like I was saying, his channel's really, that stuff was solid. Well, yeah.
And I'll see you in the next video. Sorry, that was corny as fuck.
That drove me.
You think they should have used original characters in the Scooby Gang? Yeah, then it wouldn't have been successful. This is kind of like the new age thing where they hijack an old IP and then change it around so that you'll have a higher chance of watching it.
To assemble the greatest team of spooky mystery solvers ever. Yeah, it was me, not Fred and his weird sex van.
Where did sex van come from?
You know.
Ever. Yeah, it was me, not Fred and his weird sex van.
Yeah, then she goes on to talk about white men bad. Yeah, listen, overall, like I said, I had low expectations for the show. They were met. It wasn't that bad. I'll probably keep watching it. It gives me like it gives me air out the nose sometimes. You know, that's pretty much, I've a little congested, so air out the nose just makes me chew boogers.
I want Papa Gut to pee on my face, but just as a friend. There's nothing weird about that. I want him to pee on my face.